Now let's get to your free MLB picks for August 26th. In part 1 of 2, we're covering 8 games with a full breakdown on each. Stay with us. First of all, give the video a big thumbs up. Hit that like and subscribe button below as we do several free pick videos for you every single day right here on the Doctor of Sports Picks. As usual, visit our channel for the rest of today's game picks and stick around until the end because you won't want to miss out on anything. We open in Detroit, where the Tigers host the Rays in a 1:10 Eastern first pitch. Detroit sits at 62-70, 33-32 at home, and the recent form is ugly, 2 wins in their last 10. Tampa Bay arrives at 78-54, one of the better records on the board, though the Rays themselves have gone 4-6 over their last 10 and are 35-31 away from home. The wrinkle is the season series. Detroit has taken 4 of 5 from Tampa Bay so far. Pitching matchup is where the model plants its flag. Troy Melton carries a 1.70 earned run average on the season, 2.25 across his last 3 starts. Freddie Peralta counters at 5.33 on the year and 5.09 over his last 3. That is a substantial gap, and it stacks on top of a home field baseline that folds in Pythagorean expectation, run prevention, and the platoon matchup. Both offenses average 4.49 runs per game, so this is not about lineup separation. It is entirely about who is throwing the ball. This counterargument is real, and it is loud. Laying a run and a half with a 62-70 club that has lost 8 of 10 against a 78-win opponent is asking a bad team to win decisively. Melton's ERA also sits on a smaller sample than Peralta's. You are betting the arm, not the standings. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Tigers to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total sits at 7 3/4, and the environment argues for runs. Comerica plays at a park factor of 100, dead neutral on the basic number, 96 on home runs. But the wind is the story, blowing out at roughly 16.6 miles per hour towards center field with a game-time temperature near 28 degrees Celsius. Warm air, no roof, and a strong tailwind is the classic recipe for balls carrying past where they normally die. The bullpens offer no resistance either. Detroit at 3.83, Tampa Bay at 4.12. His honest pushback is that Melton's 1.70 ERA is precisely the kind of start that suffocates a total, and Detroit has allowed only 3.93 runs per game. If Melton goes 6 clean, the win never gets a say. Our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total of 7.8, is our full game total pick. Moving to the desert, where the Diamondbacks welcome the Cubs at 3:40 Eastern. Arizona is 70-63 overall, and a strong 39-29 inside Chase Field, splitting their last 10. Chicago sits at 76-57, 38-30 on the road, but has dropped 6 of its last 10. The season series has been one-sided in the Cubs' favor. Chicago has won 5 of the 7 meetings, with Arizona taking just 2. This is the closest call on the entire board, and the model's edge is a rounding error, 0.1%. It is essentially a coin flip that tips on offense. Chicago scores 5.23 runs per game against Arizona's 4.53, the largest lineup gap in this matchup and the single biggest input in the calculation. Cubs also allow fewer runs, 4.32 to 4.51, and own the better bullpen at 3.87 against Arizona's 4.16. That is the full profile of a team that outscores and outprevents its opponent across 133 games. Park and weather enter the equation as a mild dampener rather than a boost. A park factor of 101 on the basic number, but only 91 on home runs, a wind component of -8.6 blowing in, and 42-degree heat with the retractable roof in play. Warm air helps the ball, but a home run suppressing park with the wind pushing back is not an environment that rewards Arizona's ability to slug its way past a run-scoring deficit. Now the counterargument, and it deserves genuine weight given how thin the number is. Eduardo Rodriguez has been the far better pitcher this season, a 2.61 earned run average sharpened to 1.93 across his last 3 starts. Matthew Boyd sits at 4.15 on the year and, more concerning, 6.38 over his last 3, which is a trend heading the wrong direction at exactly the wrong time. Home field baseline that blends Pythagorean expectation, run prevention, and the platoon matchup pulls toward Arizona as well, and that 39-29 home mark is not an accident. Chicago also arrives cold, 4-6 in the last 10. When the projected edge is 1/10 of a point, you are not being paid for conviction. You are being paid for a very slight lean, and this one leans on the bats and the relief corps outweighing the starter gap. As our first pick for this matchup, the Chicago Cubs money line is our full game side pick. Out to the Bay, where the Giants host the Reds at 3:45 Eastern. San Francisco is 54-78, 31-33 at home, and 4-6 over the last 10. Cincinnati is 62-71, but scuffling badly, 3-7 in their last 10 and 30-35 away from Great American Ballpark. The season series is deadlocked at 4 wins apiece, which tells you these two have been difficult to separate all year. Lean here is modest, roughly 3%, and it rests on 3 inputs. Landon Roop holds a 4.34 earned run average with a steady 4.41 across his last 3 starts. Nick Lodolo carries a 5.04 season mark, but the recent form is the alarming piece, 7.30 over his last 3. San Francisco also holds the bullpen advantage, 4.13 against Cincinnati's 4.48. Park and weather rounded out, a 97 park factor, 22 degrees, and a wind component of essentially nothing at -0.8. That is a pitcher's environment that favors the team with the steadier arms. Counter is that the Giants are 24 games under 500. They score just 4.02 runs per game to Cincinnati's 4.04, and they allow 4.58. This is a bad team getting the nod on matchup, not on quality. Our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total of 7.8, is our full game total pick. Weight to total, 7 3/4, with a 4.2% edge to the over. That is the number to reconcile with everything just described, because Oracle Park is a 97 basic park factor and just 91 on home runs. The wind is neutral at -0.8, and 22 degrees is not a launching environment. What supports the over is the pitching underneath the surface. Lodolo at 7.30 over his last 3 starts is a genuine leak. Both bullpens sit above 4. 4.13 for San Francisco, 4.48 for Cincinnati, and both clubs are giving up runs in bulk, 4.58 allowed per game for the Giants and 4.80 for the Reds. The counter-argument is straightforward, and it is the park itself. Oracle suppresses, the air is cool, and neither offense clears 4.1 runs per game. This is an over bet made in spite of the venue, not because of it. Total. Down to Anaheim, where the Angels host the Guardians at 4:07 Eastern. Los Angeles is 52-81, 29-38 at home, and 4-6 in the last 10. Cleveland is 67-66, but scorching, 8 wins in their last 10 and 36-32 on the road. The season series has been a rout. Cleveland has taken 6 of the 7 meetings. Nearly every lever points the same direction. Joey Cantillo brings a 3.73 earned run average and a 2.31 figure across his last 3 starts. Grayson Rodriguez sits at 6.41 on the season. Cleveland's bullpen is materially better at 3.75 against 4.21, and the Guardians allow just 4.09 runs per game to the Angels' 4.65. Park and weather enter as a modest boost. 101 basic park factor, 105 on home runs, 27 degrees, wind out at 4.7. The honest counter comes in 2 parts. First, lineup strength actually favors Los Angeles by a hair, 4.10 runs per game to 4.05, so this is not an offensive mismatch. Second, Rodriguez has been sharply better recently, a 3.60 ERA over his last 3 starts against that ugly 6.41 season line. And the home field baseline, blending Pythagorean expectation and the platoon matchup, still credits the Angels for playing at home. The edge is 4%, meaningful, not overwhelming. Our first pick for this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians money line, is our full game side pick. Total is set at 8 3/4, and the projection system puts the combined run estimate at 8.8, right on top of the number, which is where small edges live. The environment cooperates. Angel Stadium grades 101 on the basic factor and 105 for home runs, one of the friendlier home run parks on today's slate, with 27-degree temperatures and the wind pushing out to center at 4.7. No roof to contain anything. Los Angeles allows 4.65 runs per game, which gives the over a reliable floor. Counter is that Cleveland's run prevention is the best in this matchup by a wide margin, 4.09 allowed per game, a 3.75 bullpen, and a starter in Cantillo who has run a 2.31 ERA over his last 3. If the Guardians' arms do their usual work, half the projection disappears. Our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total of 8.8, is our full game total pick. Quick break. If you want the full model breakdown behind every pick, it's all live on the dashboard. Back to the games. San Diego, where the Padres host the Pirates at 4:10 Eastern. San Diego is 71-62, an excellent 40-28 at Petco, and even at 5-5 over the last 10. Pittsburgh is 65-69, 31-37 on the road, also 5-5 recently. The Pirates lead the season series 3-2. This is a 7.2% edge on the road underdog, and it is built primarily on offense. Pittsburgh averages 4.90 runs per game to San Diego's 4.26, a sizable gap and the heaviest weighted input here. Starters are close to a wash on the season, Bubba Chandler at 4.38 and Randy Vasquez at 4.19, but Chandler has been the better arm recently at 3.60 across his last three, with Vasquez at 4.24. That combination, a better offense and a slightly hotter starter, is what generates the number. The counter-arguments are substantial. San Diego's bullpen is the best unit in this game by a wide margin at 3.49 against Pittsburgh's 4.12, which matters enormously in a low-scoring park. Home field baseline, incorporating Pythagorean expectation and the platoon matchup, favors the Padres, who are 12 games over 500 at home. Pittsburgh has allowed 4.70 runs per game. You are taking the worst team on paper. As our first pick for this matchup, the Pittsburgh Pirates money line is our full game side pick. Total is 8.5, and the edge is razor thin at just over 1%, the smallest total lean on the board. Petco Park is the reason. It grades at 96 on the basic factor, one of the more suppressive venues in the sport, though it plays roughly neutral on home runs at 101. Its temperature is a cool 21.6 degrees, and while the wind is blowing out at 8.4, cool marine air blunts carry. The bigger consideration is the relief pitching. San Diego's bullpen sits at 3.49, and if this game reaches the sixth inning close, those innings get very quiet very quickly. Its counter is legitimate. Pittsburgh scores 4.90 runs per game and allows 4.70. Neither starter has an ERA under 4 on the season, and a wind blowing out at 8.5 miles per hour is not nothing. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total of 8.5, is our full game total pick. It's up to Seattle, where the Mariners host the Phillies at 4:10 Eastern. Seattle is 64-69, but playing its best baseball in a while, 7-3 over the last 10 and 37-30 at home. Philadelphia is 73-60, 8-2 in their last 10, and 35-30 on the road. Seattle has won both meetings in the season series to this point, so the Phillies come in looking to reverse that. This model asks Philadelphia to win by 2 or more, and the case starts with the lineup. 4.53 runs per game against Seattle's 3.96, a nearly 6/10 gap. Jesus Luzardo has the better season profile at 3.23 against Brian Wu's 4.10, and the bullpen comparison narrowly favors Philadelphia, 4.31 to 4.38. Both clubs are rolling, 8-2 versus 7-3, so form is a wash. The counter-argument is genuinely strong. Wu has been outstanding lately, a 1.00 earned run average across his last 3 starts, which is better than anything Luzardo has posted recently at 2.33. The home field baseline credits Seattle. Mobile Park is a 94 park factor with a 20-degree game temperature, a suppressive environment where 2-run margins are hard to manufacture. Laying a run and a half here requires the offense to actually break through against a locked-in starter. As our first pick for this matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Total is 7, and the projection lands at 7.3 combined runs. Close, but the environment argues for the under. T-Mobile Park grades at 94 on the basic factor and 96 on home runs, one of the most run-suppressing venues on today's slate. Game temperature is 20.1 degrees. The wind component is a negligible plus 1.2, and the retractable roof removes weather variance entirely. Seattle scores just 3.96 runs per game, the lowest offensive output in any matchup on this board, and both starters have been sharp of late. Wu at 1.00 over his last 3, Luzardo at 2.33. His counter is that neither bullpen inspires confidence. Seattle at 4.38 and Philadelphia at 4.31, and a 7 is a low number that leaves almost no margin. 1 3-run inning in the 7th flips this. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total of 7, is our full game total pick. South Florida for the first evening game on the board, where the Marlins host the Red Sox at 6:40 Eastern. Miami is 67-66, but an outstanding 41-27 at home, the best home split on this entire slate, and 5-5 over the last 10. Boston arrives at 73-59, 8-2 in their last 10, and 39-27 away from Fenway. Boston has won both meetings in the season series. Here is the honest framing. This is a 5.8% edge on the home underdog, and the model's weighting rests on a single factor, bullpen availability. Miami at 3.99 against Boston's 2.87. That ordering may look counterintuitive, because Boston's relief corps is clearly the superior unit, but the model is pricing usage and availability rather than raw quality, and the market has already baked Boston's bullpen strength into the number. Everything else in this matchup points to Boston. Sonny Gray carries a 2.79 earned run average against against Ryan Gusto's 4.37, though Gusto has been sharp lately at 2.84 over his last three, identical to Gray's recent mark. Boston scores 4.54 runs per game to Miami's 4.35 and allows just 3.75 to Miami's 4.23. The case for the Marlins is the home split and the price, nothing more. As our first pick for this matchup, the Miami Marlins money line is our full game side pick. Total is 7.5 with a 2% edge to the over, and this is a thin one. Miami's park grades at 101 on the basic factor, but only 97 for home runs. The wind component is minus 6.7, blowing in, and the retractable roof means conditions will be controlled at roughly 25 degrees. None of that screams runs. What supports the over is the offensive baseline. Boston at 4.54 runs per game, Miami at 4.35, and a Marlins bullpen at 3.99 that can be reached. Gusto's 4.37 season ERA is the other lever. His counter is significant, and it is named Sonny Gray, a 2.79 earned run average backed by a Boston bullpen at 2.87 and a run prevention mark of 3.75 per game. Gray goes 6 and hands it to that relief corps. 7.5 is a long way off. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total of 7.5 is our full game total pick. We close in Washington, where the Nationals host the Rockies at 6:45 Eastern, and this is a meeting of two clubs going in the same direction. Washington is 62-72, just 28-37 at home, and 2-8 over the last 10. Colorado is 51-81, 24-43 on the road, and also 2-8 in their last 10. Washington leads the season series 3-2. This model likes the road underdog by nearly 9%, and the pitching is why. Matt Waldron carries a 7.54 earned run average on the season, and it has gotten dramatically worse, 13.50 across his last three starts. Tanner Gordon is no ace at 5.75. But he has been trending better at 4.97 recently, and the gap between those two profiles is enormous. Park and weather add a touch. A neutral 100 park factor, 24 degrees, wind out at 8.1, in an environment where Waldron's contact profile is most exposed. The counter arguments are real. Washington scores 5.19 runs per game to Colorado's 4.72, so lineup strength favors the home side. The home field baseline, blending Pythagorean expectation and the platoon matchup, favors Washington as well. And Colorado is 30 games under 500 with a 24-43 road record. This is a bet on one starter being unplayable. As our first pick for this matchup, the Colorado Rockies money line is our full game side pick. Total is 9, and the projection is not close. The system estimates 13.3 combined runs, the largest gap between projection and posted number anywhere on today's board. Start with the starters. Waldron at 7.54 on the season and 13.50 over his last three. Gordon at 5.75. Then the bullpens, which offer no relief at all. Washington 4.77, Colorado 4.84. Then run prevention. Colorado allows 5.81 runs per game, Washington 5.06. Park is neutral at 100, but the wind is blowing out at roughly 8.1 with 24-degree air and no roof. The counter is simply that 9 is already an elevated number, and the market knows both starters are vulnerable, so the price is not free. But when the projection sits more than 4 runs above the line, that is the largest total edge on the slate. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total of 9 is our full game total pick. That does it for this one. Part 2 is coming right up with the rest of the card. Don't go anywhere.